My name is Katarina Hanssens Carlsson, and I'm the CEO of Destiny International 11. And I'm a world-class speaker and a consultant. I'm a business vision consultant. And I'm about to be on the Online Prosperity Show. So what can you expect from this? A dynamic conversation with Prosper, who I truly respect and admire as a colleague and a partner. And you'll be in for a surprise, because you might be able to relate to me in a way that resonates. I went through a lot of unfulfillment, a lot of pain, but I'm not going to tell you everything. Now, today, I'm successful and I live in joy. So if you want to live in joy and be fulfilled, keep watching.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today I'm thrilled to introduce to you a guest who knows a thing or two about uncovering the brilliance in others. Now, Katarina, how are you doing today?
I'm doing amazingly. I mean, I've had a long journey in my career, and it feels like, oh my God, in the last 2 weeks, I've landed with amazing people who are promoting me globally. So yeah, I'm on the moon.
Absolutely. Well, this is all exciting, and I'm so happy that we caught you while you're in the middle of all of this, which really, really is testament to the work that you're putting out there and the help that you are giving others so that they too can have a business and a life that's profitable and enjoyable. Now, you might be wondering, what am I talking about? Who's Katrina and why should you care? Well, if you're watching this right now, I want you to know that Katarina is an experienced leadership trainer, international speaker, and entrepreneurial consultant with over 20 years of experience transforming global education. And she's been on quite the journey. I mean, from proving that she wasn't stupid and ugly after high school. Those are her words and not mine. Later, she's going to be telling you all about that. And actually, now she's helping others to discover their own unique brilliance and entrepreneurial blueprint. So get ready for an engaging discussion on how you can actually align your true identity and build a successful business inside out. Now, let me tell you something before we actually dive into all of this entrepreneurial wisdom. Me and Katarina go way back, and we've been having so many late night sessions. I mean, late night on my part and early morning for her from across the border. But you should see the wealth of knowledge and wisdom that she brings to the table. But Katarina, since I know you a little bit, here's a fun one for you. If you would maybe describe your entrepreneurial journey as a movie, which genre would it be? Is it a drama? Is it a comedy? Or perhaps is it an action thriller?
Interesting question. I would just, none of the above. Basically, I would describe it as a motivational movie, a winner movie. You know, the times that we want to watch a movie that's uplifting, a movie of courage. There's not that many movies like that. And I'm very discerning about what I watch, but I would call it the winner movie.
Absolutely. Well, winning is what we're going to be doing from now on. And you're absolutely right, because in that movie, there will be a bit of fire walking that is in that movie. And not a lot of movies have that. There's only the hero after having done something, looking back and explosions happening behind the scenes. But we're not talking those kind of explosions. Katarina has literally exploded into the scene, and here she is in front of us. Now, before we get all excited and everything else, you've had such a fascinating journey. I mean, from you started off modeling and then you went to teaching. I still remember the conversations that we had before, and now you are consulting, and helping others in the process. What actually inspired you to transition into entrepreneurship? And, was there something specific that happened that got you embarking on this journey?
Well, it wasn't so much inspiration. It was that I was in pain. I was in pain. At school, I was lost. I enjoyed school, but I didn't think it was for me. And actually, I'm not alone in that because I was a natural born entrepreneur. And entrepreneur school school doesn't teach you entrepreneurship. It should, because I've discovered that at least 30% of every single class are young entrepreneurs. Anyway, so what motivated me was pain. I didn't feel fulfilled. I didn't know who I was, but I kept searching, and I bless the I bless myself for searching, for just keeping on searching. So I started off at school, went to Homerton College, was very disappointed in the education system. I'm still very disappointed, but now I have solutions. Became a psychotherapist, one of the top in Helsingborg, which is the south of Sweden. I had my own therapy center, one of the top in Sweden. But I was angry because I wanted to do something in life that was in accordance with my key values, which are truth, greatness, and vision. I wanted to know what's my truth, what's my greatness, what's my vision, and how can I help other people to do that. So I became a consultant rather than a psychotherapist to help people find, what's your what's your truth, what's your driving purpose, what's your vision, and what is going to stop you, because that is crucial. And so the closer I got to what was fulfilling, the closer I got to entrepreneurship, the closer I got to being a consultant, the more I worked with people, the more I realized this is it for me. And this is it for me for life. And I don't think many people feel like that. I think they've been through the hoops in school, they've done well, they've got good memories, they go to university, they go to college, and then what? Then they get a job, they survive, and maybe they survive really well, maybe they're very well paid, but does it compensate the lack of fulfillment? For me, no.
Mm. And I quite like that, because this quest has now brought you to where you are right now. But if I would ask a question, is this something that is just a Katarina thing, or do we all have this sort of desire to want more, be more, and have more?
I think it's definitely not just a Katarina thing. I think it's universal. And I think a lot of people are unfulfilled. A lot of children are suffering in school because they don't feel heard, they don't feel seen, and they may not feel heard or seen even at university. So this is a universal challenge, I would say. And yeah, I'm not the only one. It is. I believe that everybody would love to be fulfilled, would love to have, get up on Monday morning and go, yes, it's Monday and I'm going to get going with this. I'm going to meet with Prosper. I'm going to have this great podcast with him. I'm going to have a ball today. And it's Monday. Yeah.
Mm, I like that. I like that. Now, Katarina, obviously, this is a time, especially when you're at school, it is a time where you're still under the care and guardianship of other adults or people that would have been in your care. Now, are these conversations that they would have participated in, or would they have wanted to hear anything pertaining to this? If you would have had conversations with adults around this, what was their sort of response to how you felt, during this time?
Do you mean the time when I was at school?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So are you talking about people who inspired me, or?
So what I'm asking is, like parents, teachers, would you have had conversations with them and telling them that I'm feeling very lost and angry about this whole setup?
Ah, no, I honestly didn't have the confidence to actually confront my teachers, but there were two teachers who said something that actually changed my life at the age of 10. My my brother and sister were very academic. I wasn't so academic, but I got very good results in school most of the time, very good results in sports. Um, but I didn't come across to them as especially academic. But they did say to me that I'm going to go much further and much longer than my brother and sister. And that's true. Today, they're retired, and I'm going strong.
Absolutely.
So I didn't approach them, but they said something that made a huge difference to my life.
Absolutely. We always want those people that, we can borrow their belief in us. That will give us, obviously, the propensity to propel further. Now, you've introduced your brother and sister into, this conversation, and you've also alluded to them being very academic and things of that nature. Was that an expectation in the family for people to actually do well in school?
Yes, I mean, we went to the best schools. My family was fairly wealthy. We went to the best schools. So there was a lot of, I wouldn't say pressure, but motivation for us to do well academically and to do well in sports. Um, but that wasn't necessarily for me.
Absolutely. And what sort of conversations would emanate from these academically gifted siblings where you thought you were not necessarily, you know, working in, according to the standard of how they were performing?
Well, my brother went to Edinburgh University. My sister went to Durham University, but I didn't feel that university was for me. So I went to went to college because I was worried about making money. How do you just leave school and make money? And I thought, well, at least I'll be paid as teacher, not very well paid, but at least if I don't like teaching, I can teach my children. That's how I was thinking. And I was on the right track because that was very, very valuable. So for viewers, I'd like you to trust yourselves. Even if nobody agrees with you, trust your feeling, trust where your pain is driving you, trust where your joy is driving you. Trust yourself, even if you think that you're going completely in the wrong direction. Trust it.
Absolutely. I quite like that because those are very powerful words. So many people tend to not trust themselves, hence, they end up just doing what society expects of them, and eventually they end up burnt out because they're trying to be things that they're not naturally inclined to be. Now, you did mention at an early age you noticed you were born entrepreneur and you sort of started pursuing that sort of route. What were the signs that you saw that, wait a minute, I could be a born entrepreneur, and that you started fostering yourself?
Well, the signs were when I found my core values: truth, greatness, and vision, and I created a consultation. I've had a longing. I mean, number one is fulfillment. Number two is to be wealthy enough to help other people because there's so much I can give. So I met Bernie Dorman at Income Builders International. Now it's a CEO space, and it changed my life. When I went there, uh, they were beautiful entrepreneurs, lovely, lovely people. Can you imagine like 1,000 people together in LA who either have a wow idea, that was the lingo there, wow idea, or they were looking for their wow idea. So I became a wow expert for them. So an entrepreneurial wow expert. I would help people find their brilliance in 4 to 6 hours. So in one day. So I would people would ask me, what's your wow? And I would say, well, I'm a consultant. For example, I didn't want to tell them the whole story. And I said, what's yours? Well, I haven't got one. So I said, well, you're talking to the right person because I can find your wow in one day. So save your time, find your driving purpose, find your entrepreneurial identity, your driving purpose, your vision in one day so that you can start implementing now. So I had lots of clients because I was the only one who could do that.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine. And that in and of itself, it builds on itself. You know, the more people you get to speak to, the more you get to understand, and the more you can easily, in an instant, be able to help them find that wow, you know, within themselves that they would not
Yes,
have seen. You see, because fish do not see the water that they swim in, and neither can people see the air that they breathe. But if something is introduced in the air or something is introduced in the fish, then that murky water will actually start distracting the fish and they start paying attention to what is actually being put out there. But you
exactly.
came to this realization and came to this position after having discovered your three core values, which you have eloquently expressed to us, which are truth, greatness, and vision. All right. And maybe you can go through each one of them, what it actually means, and how people can find those sort of values within themselves before we actually proceed, because I think they're very pivotal in how you've now shaped your own business and how you approach business and help other people be doing that.
Absolutely, Prosper. This is a brilliant question. Um, I asked myself throughout school, who am I? Who am I? And I just came up with, well, I'm kind sometimes. I'm sometimes a bit lost. I'm this. I'm that. And the other. Truth. Ask yourself who you are. We have a driving force. It's one of the most powerful driving forces in human nature to be consistent with who we say we are. I mean, I can't emphasize this enough, Prosper. That should come first. Who am I? And you're not who your parents say you are. No, you're not, unless they're entrepreneurs or they're very, very enlightened people. They may know you, but then you're an exception. You have exceptional parents. You're on your way, no problem. But for the rest of us, I would say, listen to yourself. Who would you love to be at your very, very greatest? And create an identity because that is your truth. And then it keeps changing. As an entrepreneur, you keep changing it because the bigger the dream, the bigger the vision, the bigger you need to be. So, how does that work? You need to look at what's not working in your life and where you're weak and change it, change it, change it. Have the courage to change the whole time and let your driving purpose drive you to having the courage to change. So, what's your truth? Your identity. What's your driving purpose? You can only know that if you also know what is sabotaging you. When you know what's sabotaging you, your fake identity, your so-called bad habit, because we all have one, our inner saboteur will truly sabotage you and your business unless you're watching out for it, unless you know exactly how it's going to, what is its strategy? What is your fake identity? This inner saboteur is a liar. Okay, so whatever it says to you, the opposite is true. So that's actually key. And for me, Prosper, when I think of the top 2% who are doing extremely well, and the 98% who are not doing so well, still struggling, those top 2% have identified their inner saboteur strategy. And it's not easy to find. And sometimes you need a consultant or a coach to find it, because you have to go deep and you have to be really, really honest with yourself. What is really my truth? So if you know what your fake identity is, you can turn that around, because that will show you in depth who you really are. And when you have the courage to change your weakness into a strength, that will keep you going. And entrepreneurship, I'm sure you'll agree with me, Prosper, it's about changing. It's about having the courage to change and keep on changing, keep on growing, greater and bigger, not in an arrogant way, but in a humble way, because we are there to serve others. So your truth is important, your identity. Then you can find your driving purpose when you found your inner saboteur strategy. And then you can create your vision. Your vision is easy. Where are you going to be in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, and how are you going to do it, and how much money you're going to make? Because actually that is a way of how you can measure how you're doing.
I like that a lot, because everything is rooted in the ingredients that you bring to the table. Because if you want to make a cake and you start off with meat and salt, you are never going to end up with a cake. So if you don't know what the actual truth is that you are starting to work with, then if you're starting from a wrong premise, then obviously the outcome is definitely not going to be the correct one. And if you haven't got the vision of where it is that you actually want to go, anywhere that you're going to end up is going to be the correct place, because you never defined it in the first place. And I can see how life-changing that in and of itself is, because when you're working from first principles and you actually connecting with who you basically are, you're not going to end up with something that you never wanted in the first place, just because society deems it the best for anyone to have at that particular time. Absolutely, absolutely amazing. Now, obviously working with this, core values and everything else, it's remarkable. But you did mention towards the end there that entrepreneurship has been changing along the years and the times, and you also have to sort of adapt and change with it. If you really know yourself, and if you really know the sort of vision that you have. But you've been working in the entrepreneurial consulting space for over 20 years now. How have you seen the landscape of entrepreneurship changing in that particular time?
Well, since COVID, everything has changed, and we need to get techie. And that's not necessarily my strongest point, but what we need to do is communicate, because technology has advanced so quickly and faster than we have. We need to actually be much more visible. So what's helped me, and could help a lot of viewers today, is let yourself be heard and seen. Create videos. Because, our websites are not enough. They could be fantastic converting landing pages, but we need to get our message out there. And what's helped me to connect with major players in the world is that I've put myself out there. At one point, I did videos every single day. I don't have to do that now. People are following me. I've got a large network. Well, in my world, it's a large network, and it's getting larger. And yes, communicate. We need to use AI, use technology to get out there and express our truth.
Absolutely. Now, with one of the things that you do is you help people to achieve and see their greatness in, obviously, in a day. What does a typical consultation with you sort of look like, and how you helping them actually, discover or find their entrepreneurial brilliance?
Well, what does it look like? A lot of people are skeptical because, how can Katarina find your truth, your greatness, your vision in one day when she hasn't known you? And I have a client in the States, and our first conversation, he was very honest with me. He said, "Well, I'm sorry, Katerina. I've been looking for my driving purpose for 50 years, and you say you can do it in a few hours. How can you do that?" Well, we all have an inner brilliance, and this is my inner brilliance. And we go deep into identity. We go deep into your inner saboteur strategy. We go deep into your driving purpose, and we get there every single time. So, so this client was very, very skeptical at the beginning, but he was amazed by the end. Most of my clients, by the end of the 4 hours, they're going, "My God, Katerina, in my first year, I'm going to be a millionaire." And I go, "Well, maybe not, because entrepreneurship is, I'm sure you would agree with me, Prosper, it's not an easy game. If you want an easy game, get a job, but you might be bored. But entrepreneurship is not an easy game. It's a tough game. And so maybe you won't make your first million in the first year, okay? And people tend to underestimate what they can do in 5 years and overestimate what they can do in 1 year. So in 5 years, many of my clients reach a million. But they get very excited, in a way, almost overexcited. So I have to hold them back a little bit. But the thing is, that excitement drives them, and drives them for at least 5 years. Many of my clients come back after a year, and they want a greater vision, the same concept, but a greater vision. But they leave with a roadmap for their success. This is who I am. This is what I'm up to. This is how I'm going to do it. And this is who I'm not. And I've changed it.
Absolutely. And you know what I quite like about all of this is because you didn't just wake up and decided this is what I wanted to do. I mean, you've had your journey has been one of reinvention in and of itself. Like, you reinvented yourself multiple times, from modeling, psychotherapy, now, consulting and things of that nature. What sort of advice would you give to somebody who feels stuck and they're quite unsure of the direction in their life? Because obviously so many people are afraid of letting go of the one thing that seems to be paying them off, or actually making them secure in their lives, so to speak.
Yeah, great question. I would say, if you're unfulfilled, if you're stuck in a job, stay with that job. Do the best you can. At the same time, work with someone like me. Find your purpose, your driving purpose. Find your identity. Start your entrepreneurial business. Work at it every single weekend. I call it like a Sunday business. Once you're starting to make money, then you can start thinking about leaving, but you still need to pay the bills. So stay in your job. But this time, you will have a purpose. You'll have a way out. So most of my clients leave, for example, corporate world within 3 to 6 months, because they start making money and realize that they can actually get clients and put bread on the table. But I don't advise them to leave straight away, unless you're very, very wealthy and you can pay the bills anyway.
Mm. You see, with what you do, it's akin to a somewhat of a rite of passage.
Yes.
Just looking at how you take people through all of this, getting them to understand who they are and really showcase their values and see what their vision can be. It's somewhat of a permission granting exercise because we already have all of these things innately inside of us. But
Yes.
by going through this process with you literally become that third, fourth eye that gives them the perspective of what they're supposed to be doing and the sort of authority to say, it's your turn now to go and do this. Because if people would do it by themselves, I can only imagine that people would have already gotten out of their way and started pursuing, their sort of goals. Now, you also went through something of an initiation when you did the fire walk. All right, let's talk about that a little bit and what that experience sort of created and showed up for you, and how does this sort of reflect on your approach to life and business?
Wow. You remembered that, Prosper. That's amazing. What a great memory. Well, I was in the States and I had an opportunity to do firewalking. I know that Anthony Robbins has at least done a lot of firewalking and run those programs. And I thought, well, yeah, the only thing that's holding me back is fear, just the same as everybody else. So, how do you walk on fire? I mean, and in the actual program, what we were the preparation time, the leader of this program, of this event, asked us to break a board with your hand, right? So this guy went up, didn't happen. Another guy went up, didn't happen. And he got this energy and it said, okay, you go up, Katarina. And I thought, oh, wow, okay, why not? So I went up. No, didn't happen with my hand. But the instructor said, use your foot. And I broke the board. So already I felt I'm breaking through. And so this was not only for me, this was for everybody, the opportunity to break through. If one of us can break through, all of us can break through because we're all connected. So when it came time to firewalk, we had to actually get all the wood and twigs ourselves, which felt awful for me because I thought, oh my God, if it was already done, I could just walk, as long as somebody went in front of me. But I thought, what have I got myself in? Okay, just remember, Katarina, if one person can do it, you can do it. So I thought, okay, I'm going to put myself in line and I'm going to be second. So one person walked and I walked, and I thought, oh well, that worked. I didn't, burn my feet or anything. I'm going to do it again. So I walked again, and then the third time I walked, and I ended up with 2 tiny little blisters. And I knew what those blisters were about. It was about self-doubt. It was about fear. But I was glad I did it 3 times because it was like, okay, this is what I needed to have to convince myself that I could do anything. If you can walk on fire, you can do anything.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, and thank you so much for sharing that story. And what that just reflects is with your 3 very strong values, you walked on those embers 3 times for each of your values, and it actually then solidified it in your own being. So thank you so much for, bracing the heat under your feet in order for you to be then able to deliver this to other people. Now, if somebody's watching this and is really keen on getting to know a little bit more about how you help and how they can get started on their journey, what will be the first what will be the best way for people to get a hold of you there, Katarina?
The best way, first of all, I want to say, if you're watching this and you're stuck and you feel that you were dumbed down in schools, your brilliance never goes away. It's still there and it's still intact. It just needs to be discovered. So how do you reach me? The best way is LinkedIn. I'm Catherine Carlsson on LinkedIn because I've been verified, so I have to use my formal name. I prefer Katarina, but I'm Catherine, Katherine, Carlsson, Carlsson. Reach me on LinkedIn. That's the best way to reach me. And hopefully there'll be a link to my Calendly. You are very welcome to have a 15-minute talk with me. And I'd love to talk with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll make sure that all those links are in the show notes below so that people can actually get started on their own journey. And I hope it's not going to be a firework, though.
No.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, one of the things that you mentioned, Katarina, is that you help people to be aligned with their deepest values and truths. For somebody who might already be experiencing that, how would they know that this is now happening in their life? What sort of things can they see when this has become true to them?
Well, first of all, they feel excited, they feel joyful, they feel that maybe for the first time they're on track. They know who they are, they know what they're up to, they know where they're going, and that is so rare today. If you ask somebody, well, who are you? They go, well, my name is, Joe Blogs, and I work so and so. But that's not your identity. Excuse me. Your identity is who you say you are. So, yes. Have I answered the question, or is there another?
Oh
Is
no,
another?
absolutely, absolutely. Because so many
Okay.
people they just keep working, and so many people they just keep working and working, and they sometimes believe I will know when I see it. They wouldn't actually
Yes.
have a specific thing or milestone or pointer that would then show them, hey, you know what, you've actually arrived. Because when you're going somewhere, the address of where you put in the GPS is not the address of where you are, but it's the address of where you're going. That way, even if there's a detour that's on the way or there's roadworks or things like that, the GPS will obviously find other alternative routes, but it will still end up at the actual designated place. All right. So many people, when they get into business, they just get started and then they just keep doing. And usually money is the only thing that they can keep score on. The rest of the things are very difficult to measure. And when the money is probably not happening, they would have already arrived at where they really want to be. But maybe the money actually hasn't manifested in and of itself. But I really appreciate the time that we've spent on the call today. But since you have showcased to us how many different things you have done, and variations of your life in your history, I just it will be appropriate for me to ask, what's next? What can people expect in the world of Katarina? Any project, service, or events that you're particularly excited about right now that people can also enjoy, now that they've gotten to know you?
Thank you, Prosper. Well, what I'm doing at the moment is speaking globally. I've spoken in Africa just 2 weeks ago. I'll be speaking in Lagos, actually flying to Lagos next year. I have other events coming up in January. So follow my events, be part of that. Uh, yes, that's what I would say do at the moment, because that's where I'm going. And
Absolutely.
Also, I want to add that I can find your brilliance, viewers, all of you. I can find your brilliance in one day, guaranteed. I've been doing it for 20 years. It's never, ever failed. However, I don't do the implementation. I don't say, okay, this is your strategy, this is the structure you need. I am a strategist, but I'm not an expert in IT structure and what you need to really succeed today. But you are, Prosper. You are. So, for people who are watching, we are actually creating a package where you can come to Katarina, you can get your blueprint, your success blueprint in one day, and then you can go to Prosper, because I've been looking for a long time for people who I can really trust, who really walk their talk, and you do, Prosper. So what I would say is, once you've worked with me, go to Prosper.
I really appreciate that. And thank you so much for saying those kind words. I mean, at the end of the day, we're here to live, to learn, and to contribute. And in order for all of us to live our best lives, we need to learn how it's all done. And once we have done that for ourselves, we need to contribute to the rest of humanity. And obviously, you're doing that in stride, and you're taking other players along the way. So thank you so much for opening yourself up to that. And I can't wait to see, the people that are going to subscribe to what you're doing and also get their brilliance read, and especially in the 4 hours that you're offering. So kudos to you for showing to other people that it is quite possible.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. What an incredible journey, Katarina. I mean, I've heard it before, but today was just on another level. And you've shared quite a lot with us today. So I'm really, really appreciative for the time that you've spent with me today. And for those that are watching, I mean, obviously, you've noticed that insights into aligning with your true identity and actually unlocking your own entrepreneurial brilliance are game changing. And if you're ever lost or maybe unsure about your path, I want you to take this as your sign to really dig deeper and find your truth. Katarina has a 4 hour immersive that she walks people through so you can actually discover your true entrepreneurial brilliance. And it is something that has taken her years to uncover, and you can have it in 4 hours now. Isn't that nice? So don't forget to, maybe while you're at it, just rewatch this episode, because so much was uncovered, and you wouldn't have been able to get all the golden nuggets of wisdom all in the space of 52 minutes. And make sure that while you're at it, hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on more insightful conversations like this. Until next time, stay prosperous and discover your own entrepreneurial brilliance. Bye for now.